Hey everybody, Stu Smith here going live. Welcome and happy Monday. Today we're going to talk about a couple different things, but we'll take some questions and kind of go all over the place. Typically, those questions vary from basic fitness stuff to special ops training and everything in between. So let me know what you have. But first, while people gather, um, what inspired you to start training in the first place? So, if you look at the description of this uh, video, you'll see there's a latest article over at stewsmithfitness.com where I asked this question over on Instagram, and I got, I don't know, 50 different responses there, another 10 or 15 from Facebook. They varied in all different places from, my parents or older brother, friends, worked out, so I just joined in. A lot of people were talking about different Rocky montages that were very motivating that said, you know what, I need to start working out. So many different ways, sports, it was getting bullied, started doing martial arts, so many different things inspired us all to start training, uh, and then hopefully never stopped. I can actually look back on my life and, I did little league stuff and played, rode my bikes and played sports in the, everybody's yards. And, every season we had a different place. We did football in the big front yard of a neighbor's house. We did basketball, who had a basketball goal in their driveway. We even had a spare lot where we created a baseball field. It was awesome. Every season we had something else to do when we were growing up. Um, but yeah, I mean, those were just things that kept us active. Didn't really start training until I was probably 12, almost 13. Um, and that was largely due to neighbors who were older than me, probably 4 years older than me. So they were in high school at the time, started lifting weights. So I saw that. Wasn't quite ready for lifting weights yet. So I just was doing like calisthenics a little bit, had some dumbbells, but that was about it. And then Christmas, the month before I turned 13, I got a weightlifting set from the Sears mail order catalog. Now, I'm really dating myself on that one because there used to be this thing instead of the internet where you would get mailed this big catalog and you'd go through it and you'd see stuff you want, you mail order it. It was awesome. Um, because we didn't have a Sears in my hometown, so we just went for the mail order catalog. So anyway, I got this 110-pound concrete weight set. Joe Weider beginner fitness, beginner weightlifting program was along with it. That was when it all started, and I really haven't stopped training since. It just trained differently. So I started off with that, learning basic set rep routines, and then evolved into getting into high school and focusing on sports. Had a powerlifting coach there. That was very helpful. We had a powerlifting team, got bigger for sports like football. And then joined the military, and that changed tremendously. Tried to play football for Navy, that didn't work. Wound up playing rugby and then going towards Spec Ops level. So there's just been this constant journey of training and different focuses, and but I've never really stopped training, just training differently. And I train differently now than I did when I was 20. When I'm 53, still do a lot of the same stuff, but just differently. Mobility is very important. Not running too much, not doing too much weight, not running too fast, not lifting too much or doing too many repetitions. All of those things have to be kind of balanced, because I don't want to get hurt and then stop training. So there's a fine line there. So anyway, it was a really fun article that I wrote. It's one of my favorites when I get quotes from people and figuring things out. But it seems like most people were into, had family and friends that pushed them. Some people, saw a movie, comic book. In fact, in the post I put a comic book post back in the 70s, even sometimes I think maybe even early 80s. I don't know. I think he passed away after that, but uh Charles Atlas had this ad in the back of a comic book where you could mail order and get this his routine. It was mostly calisthenics stuff. Um but it was pretty fun little advertisement about getting sand kicked on you at the beach and coming back, next summer and punching the dude that did that. It's old school, but it was fun. Some of you guys remember that, I bet. If you don't, check out my Instagram, StuSmith50, and you'll see that comic. It's really cool. And then there's some other movies, Rocky movies, Conan the Barbarian, some bodybuilders like Tom Platz and things like that that were really instrumental in in some way kind of shaped me towards learning new things about fitness and staying motivated to do that stuff. So before I take questions, I'm going to go into my Monday workout of the week preview. This is one of our weeks where we are adding a lift week. So last week, I think we hit like 30 to 35 miles of running. And this week, we're going to downshift a little bit and only hit 20, but we're going to hit 20 hard and fast. So just about every day, 5 days this week, we hit about 4 miles of running, not hitting anything higher than that. And just running it fast. A lot of interval stuff, goal pace stuff. In fact, there's only one 4 mile run day or ruck, on the beach on Friday. But the way it looks like this. So we did upper body day today. So we warm up with calisthenics, but the meat and potatoes of our workout is a pretty hard push pull cycle. This one's a little bit different than your typical weightlifting day. Still a little bit more on the muscle stamina endurance side because the way I had it set up today was we did bench press for 20 reps, 5 sets of 20. So you had 100 reps of bench press. So most everybody did 135 20 times for 5 sets. Not easy. But what's really hard is immediately right after you do each set, you roll off the bench and you go right into as many push-ups as you can. Some guys able to do 3 or 4, some guys able to do 10. But really what I want to do with that is I want to simulate those last 15 seconds of a 2-minute push-up test. And that's a really good way to do it without having to do 2 minutes worth of push-ups. If you want to feel how it feels in those last 10, 15 seconds of a 2-minute push-up test, try that. So whatever reps of bench you're doing, doesn't have to be 20. It could be a body weight bench, and then you roll over and try to do as many push-ups as you can. You'll see that's tough. So we do a bench press push-up, no rest combo. Rest by putting on a weight vest and doing as many weight vest pull-ups as you can for 20 pounds. Goal for everybody is try to get double digits on those pull-ups. So that's one little superset. And then the next one we hit some quarter mile runs at goal pace, but in between each quarter mile run we do pull-ups, sit-ups, and dips. Boom, boom, boom. Or for those that wanted to, they could lift and do a bicep overhead press, moderately heavy weights with that one in place of dips if you wanted to. And we did that 6 rounds. So we only ran 3 miles today. Looks like I think I had a warm-up mile in there too. So it might have been 4, but with a warm-up mile. And then did a 50-50 swim workout with some treading on the back end. Tomorrow's a leg day instead of hill day. Normally, as you guys have probably heard me talk about, Tuesdays are longer run hill day, which gets anywhere from 6 to 10 miles of hills and intervals and pretty tough speed work. But tomorrow's going to be more lunging and deadlifting. Got a few 800-meter goal pace in there mixed with planks and hanging knee ups. Just kind of balance out some of the stuff we were doing earlier with deadlifts and dumbbell squats. And then we swim a fence. So that's our leg day. So yeah, only running one, yeah, 2, 3 miles on Tuesday, no miles on Wednesday. That's our mobility day. But we, 5 minutes of cardio, 5 minutes of stretching, foam rolling, followed by do that 4 or 5 times. And then we follow it with a swim workout with drown proofing and all those skills in it. Then on Thursday, we're back to upper body, but it's going to be different. We're going to do weight vest pull ups, followed by body weight bench press, max reps, body weight bench press. So, whatever you weigh, that's the weight you use. And once again, the goal of body weight bench press is to see if you can get double digits on each of those. If you can't, that's all right. Just note it and just understand that I try to push everybody into double digit body weight bench press. If you can get 15, great. If you can get 10 plus, that's fine too. Then we're doing some more quarter-mile intervals. Looks like it's only a 3-mile run day there as well. So we may not even hit 20 this week. Nope, we do. We pick it up later. 4 miles on Fridays, a leg day. We're going to mix in some kettlebells, RDLs, swings, squats, fireman carries, lots of lunges. 400-meter walking lunge is not easy. I don't know if you've ever done a lap around a track just lunging without stopping. It's a good one. And then the goal is one of the reasons why we do that is you will do that with a log on your chest as a log crew for a very long time. So we try to get people used to lunging. Plus, it does help your running as well, especially if you can't run much due to shin splints or something like that. You can still lunge. But the goal is to see if you can do a quarter-mile lunge and then not be sore for the next 2 days with your legs, right? Your first few times you do it, you're going to be sore, but you do it a couple more times. Next thing you know, you don't even get sore anymore. That's when you know it's working because you got to have that kind of muscle stamina and recovery with some of these selection programs. Then on Saturday, we're just going to do a kind of a short run combo with sandbags, pull-ups, push press, sandbag sit-ups, dips, bear crawls, short runs. But won't be too bad. Probably about 3 miles of running on that too. So yeah, less than 20 this week. But that's all right. We need a break. I think we've been hitting a lot of miles a little high anyway. So we're going to just pull back this week. But we'll probably pick back up high 20s next week after this little what do you want to call it? I call it a lift week / recovery week from mileage, recovery week from high repetition to somewhat with some of your calisthenics. Not necessarily all. I mean, we were doing a lot of bench press on that Monday workout, but still, that's not that tough. You're not doing a whole lot of push-ups that day. All right. So it looks like we got some questions. Let's take them. Let me save this workout week. All right. So start from the top. Morning, Rod. Hey, Stu, what are your thoughts on the Army piloting a program that will allow soldiers to join that don't meet the current body fat standards? Usually that's a recipe for injury and failure, but I mean, there's nothing out there that's preparing kids other than your own initiative to get in shape. It used to be you didn't have to worry about this because every kid in school was having an hour's worth of physical education every day in school. You don't do that anymore. Is it important? I think it is, because I think it helps. I mean, a lot of people have horror stories from their PE days, but some people have lifelong love of fitness because of them too. So it's not the best answer, not the only answer, but unfortunately, there's nothing out there other than a person's inspiration and initiative to go out there and start training on their own. Unfortunately, that's the situation. Now, should the Army have some kind of, like, what do you want to call it? They used to call these things fat camps. This is nothing new, by the way. This They've done these for a while. I remember them in the 80s. Also read about them a little earlier too. In fact, one of the reasons why we came up with a presidential physical fitness award, you know, back in the 60s was because after World War II, we realized we weren't physically ready to, our kids weren't physically ready to go to war, but they're better than they were today. Where I think we're much worse off today. So I think whatever we can do to, if somebody wants to serve, but the reason why they can't serve is their body fat, I don't see a problem with a program that helps them lose that body fat, get in better shape, learn how to do it. Most people just don't know how to eat right or how to train. So where are they going to learn it? You learn it in high school? Probably not. So I don't have a problem with it. I think it needs to be well run though, and run specifically to educate people, not break them. Good question though. I like that one. My first inspiration was to actually train when I started rock climbing in high school and decided I didn't want to be beat by any of my friends. Yeah, you know what? Competition is a good inspiration for many. I think that's probably mine as well, whether it was swimming across the pool the fastest or running, from this house to that house the fastest. There's always a race going on, maybe on your bike, on your legs. And then it got to, pull ups and then once someone had a bench press, it was a bench press challenge. Yeah, I think those are great ways to, you know, keep keep pushing yourself. So Joe asks, um, what should our 25-meter and 50-meter interval times look like for the CSS? Additionally, how effortless, easy should guys be swimming the CSS be? I will show a perfect CSS tomorrow, but if you guys go over to my TikTok channel, TikTok Stu Smith 50, you will see dozens of really good CSSs and you can count the reps for yourself. But what I try to do, Joe, is I try to get people swimming at a yard per second. So 25 yards is 25 seconds. 25 or 50 yards or meters is 50 seconds. Um, that's my standard that I try to get people to. And it's easy to count. 100 yards, 100 seconds. 200 yards, 200 seconds. Where it's really easy is 5 minutes is 300 seconds. So 300 yards in 5 minutes. Boom. If you can do that, you're on pace to do really well. Now, stroke count, different story. I try to get it in less than 7, right? Between 6 and 7 is probably about as high as I like to go. I usually do 5 to 6 strokes per length to get across the pool. So you're not, whatever you do, you can't do double digits to get across the pool. It will wreck you for so much more that's after the PST. So that's what I try to do. 6 to 7. Other day I just trained a guy that took 12 to get across the pool, And in about 10 minutes of just explaining to him the stroke and the glide process, he was down to 6 in like 10 minutes and was like, man, that's so much easier. Yeah, it is easier when you're not beating up the water twice as much. All right, let's see. And for the CSS, can you cover your opinion on the crossover style taught by Roger Roberts? Seen people doing this in my peer group, and it seems interesting but exhausting. Yeah, I don't do it that way. Not saying I have the right way. Hey, whatever floats your boat. If it works and you're getting an easy 500-yard swim without crushing yourself, go for it. But yeah, I don't know. I don't. There's a couple other dudes too that Don Walsh teaches a different method too, where you kind of roll over and you look up at the sky whenever you turn to breathe. I don't think that's necessary either, but I've seen guys swim really fast that way. So a bunch of different methods to do this side stroke. There's an elementary side stroke. There's the modified side stroke. There's the combat swimmer stroke. All of them are different versions of a side stroke. You need to find the one that works best for you and the one that's legal. As long as it's legal, I don't care if you do breaststroke. If you like doing breaststroke, do it. Last time I asked about buds being reformed to prevent the fratricide effect that's been present in the past few classes. What could instructors do to prevent that? Well, they could not encourage students to eat their own. That's the instructor's job. It shouldn't be my job as a student to determine whether or not someone should make it through buds or not. You know, that's how they prevent it. And that's what was going on. There were stupid kangaroo courts. There were, people getting pushed out under the boat, run out of, under the boat, and just basically bullied, out of buds. And it was just toxic. You can't have a military program that is based on, that kind of negative leadership. It's just not healthy. And your reputation is formed at buds, during your team life. So it is getting much better, supposedly. Um, it was unsustainably toxic, is my answer to what happened the last 5 or 6 classes. But I will say this, and on the other side of the fence, I see where they're coming from. One, they had too many people at buds due to this COVID backup. Two, they had a restructuring of the teams where they had too many, the teams were overmanned, so they didn't need so many people to graduate buds. So that, it was down to a trickle of who was graduating. But they screwed this year group so much that this year group now is undermanned. So they're trying to get more people to come in to buds um, and graduate. Um, I don't think it's easier. I just think it's back to normal where you had like an 80% attrition rate versus a 95% attrition rate. But that's just me on the outside looking in. Don't take my word as gospel. I'm also not there, seeing what's happening. Oh, what happened here? Do you know how to incorporate fitness into any schedule of the day, like night or day, as I find myself not motivated to work out if I can't work out in the morning? Um, well, I mean, there's only so many options. Knowing how, yeah, do it in the night, do it at lunch, make sure you do it in the morning. What I do is if I'm working night shift stuff, I would save my workouts to when I start a night shift. So I don't think this is what you're asking, but the way I do it is if I want to stay awake, I will work out regardless. Because it just helps you stay awake. If I'm normally going to bed at 10 o'clock, that's when I'm starting my workout. And then I do a mid shift, uh, go from midnight to 8 in the morning. Those shifts suck. But if you work out first, you're going to be a little more alert for at least the first 4 hours. Then you got to push through the back four. Um, but you can definitely do that. Now, one thing I would, when you're doing night shift stuff, you got to shift it a little bit. But, if I miss a morning workout, I try to make it up at noon during lunch or at least half of it and then try to get the other half, in the evening if I have to. Um, but yeah, that's yeah, you just got to do it. I'm not sure how to motivate you or inspire you. That's one day your fitness is going to be a determining factor between you living or dying if you are considering one of these tactical professions. So it's that important. If that does not motivate you to want to train, you should consider something else. Um, I will say this though, eventually your motivation has to evolve to discipline. And you do that by, while you're motivated, set up good habits of times in the day when you can work out, do them, and then when you're not motivated, because this morning I was not motivated to get up out of my bed and go work out at 6 a.m., but I did. Um, got it done. Um, so sometimes I like to say, just because I don't feel like working out right now, I'm going to work out anyway. Those are really powerful things that you do that discipline is working. Your habits have worked and you've kind of taken that discipline to another level of mental toughness. So think of it a little deeper than just I'm not motivated. Maybe that's perfect reason to go work out because you're not motivated. You know, do it anyway. I know it's tough. Some days you need days off too. So, take a day off if it's a stressful day. Do I ever get flabbergasted? Do I ever get tired of asking flabbergasting questions? Answering. Sometimes I wouldn't do it if I didn't like it. Some of these give me really good ideas to write about. In fact, I have to write an article right after this show, so I am looking for good suggestions and good questions. And sometimes those inspire me to write an article, which right now I have no idea what I'm going to write about. Um, so hopefully you guys can come up with some good questions and I'll write an article on it and everybody's happy. Um, should I join Team Eagle One? I live really close to it. Yeah, if you can do it, absolutely. If you're close to it, why not? I think they're a good program. So, um, how important is it to learn egg beater? Can I just muscle through weighted treading events in the pool? You can. That's what I did. I didn't know egg beater until I was probably 4 years in the teams. I was just happened to be working out and saw a former water polo player doing his thing, practicing. I think he was trying out for Olympic team or something. And I was just watching him do the egg beater and I asked him a few questions and I started to learn it. But I tell you what helped me the most and what is helping me the most as a coach teaching people egg beater is to work on your mobility first. In fact, I wrote an article that has both CSS critiquing and um, treading stretching exercises that are very helpful. One, stretching of your ankles for um, swimming with fins, and another one is stretching out your ankles, knees, hips for egg beater kick. So check out those stretches in that article I just posted up there in the comment section, and you'll see what I'm talking about. But how important is it? It's not overly important because you're going to have two treads. You're going to have a tread without fins, which you can do egg beater with, or you can just do scissor kicks. That's what I did. And then you're going to have a tread with fins and scuba tanks and weight belt and all that. And that all you can do there is just constantly flutter kick. It is basically vertically swimming, is all you're doing. You're just as soon as you quit kicking, you're going to sink because you're pretty negative. Um, so you got to keep kicking. Get your legs and hip flexors ready for that kind of 10-minute tread pain that is associated with it. Any book recommendations for bettering oneself? James, good question. I got some. Yeah. Um, yeah, I have some. I mean, depends on what you're talking about. Are you talking about focusing on being a better person, or are you talking about you know getting through these type of training and working on mental toughness? There's so many different ways to go about it. I did an article, or no, a podcast with Jeff, and we did 10 books that we both recommended for life and for training. Um, so it's in the podcast page. Um, and I'll try to find it for you, but it was really good. Um, it was a while back ago, so it was probably in the um, let's see, Tactical Fitness Report podcast. So what I need you to do is go to Tactical Fitness Report podcast in Google search, scroll down, and Jeff and I did a two shows. One was our 10 book recommendation for physical training and education, and we did 10 books for personal and professional life. So podcast 169 and the other one was podcast 170. So now that I have them all listed here, I can actually tell you, I think I put the descriptions of them in here. So, yeah, we did a few things. We did some Navy SEAL ones that I liked. Navy SEAL Team 1, Pressure Point, Silent Descent, Rising Wind. In fact, I put fiction and nonfiction here. Wow, that's a whole lot of holy crap. Bettering Oneself. Road to Character, David Brooks. Power of Now, Eckhart Tolle. One I liked is the Navy SEAL Survival Handbook, Don Mann. Very handy. Warrior Path, Journal to Post Traumatic Growth. 12 Rules to Life, An Antidote to Chaos, Jordan Peterson. Yeah, so we both named a whole bunch. So podcast 169 and podcast 170. Check those out. These were pretty darn good. In fact, I'll put the link in here and you can see all 200 plus podcasts on a list for you there. Yeah, Jocko's and Leif's book, extreme ownership. It's good stuff. Um, what was your answer to why am I doing this? Um, Good question. I remember actually saying, um, because I wanted to serve with people, um, and I wanted to do very motivated, highly disciplined people, but I also wanted to serve in a job where I would not ask anybody to do something that I would not do myself. And what I mean by that was, as an officer in the Navy, there are certain jobs that you have no clue how to do them. So, for instance, if I was on a ship and the diesel engine was not working, I would have to get one of my guys who's a diesel mechanic to fix it, right? Or we'd have to outsource it out to go fix it. Um, Now, there were obviously things like that in the SEAL teams, but for the most part, if it was a very grueling experience, I would be part of that experience with everybody. So there aren't many jobs in the military that allow for that. So my why was, if I'm going to ask somebody to do something, I want to be able to also do it as well. So I'm not just saying, go do this. I'll sit and watch. We all have our different whys. So let's see here. Anything that applies to life, really. Yeah, check out the podcast 169 and 170. Got both chapters covered, from professional, personal, as well as training. Tried mobility day every day, but that doesn't seem to help. I don't, Mike, let me see. Any advice for tight hips? So, okay, you have two separate comments there. So now see, my hips get so tight during runs that I can't hit the miles I want. Were you also running on those mobility days? You might want to take some time off. Are you doing the right stretches on mobility day? Are you foam rolling and massaging? Are you stretching? Have you tried it in the water? The one thing that helped my hips probably more than anything was getting in the water and treading and thinking of all the dynamic stretches that I could think of and doing them in chest deep water. So I was doing leg swings, forward, back, side to side, butt kickers, running, Frankenstein steps, um, leg swing out front, and then bend over, leg swing and back, um, hip openers. All those things were very helpful. And if this does not help, you are over my pay grade and you need to go see a physical therapist about them, because this doesn't help you, then I don't know what will. But I'm sure somebody does. And somebody who's a doctor of physical therapy will probably have a much better answer for you if this does not work. This worked for me, and it has worked for countless others who have tight hips and can't tread because they have tight hips, or they hurts to run and they have tight hips. You may have something else that can only be cured through physical therapy. Any advice or strategies for balancing family and military, namely spec ops? I've heard some guys say family and spec ops don't mix. Not true. It's hard, but I've also known guys who have families, so must be possible. Yeah, it's absolutely possible. Tough, but possible. You definitely need a spouse who um, is independent of you, that does not need you, to be honest, um, and can live without you, because you'll be gone for a significant amount of time. I mean, even in my time before 9/11, I was gone 9 months. My year of engagement, I was gone 9 months. My year of getting married, um, yeah, I mean that was not easy. but she knew what she was getting into, and was used to it. Plus, we had a year of cross country relationship. While I was going through buds, she was back on the East Coast while we were dating. So, we kind of got used to um, being apart to a point where, we would do like a 3-week trip and we're like, hey, it's only 3 weeks. It's awesome. Now if I go away for 3 days, it's like, holy crap, it's tough. So I got a lot of stuff at my house that I got to do. Um, no, but it's definitely possible. There's some great marriages that come out of military. Kids are really impressive, fairly independent themselves. Um, but it also depends on how long you stay in too. Let's see. Oh yeah, Viktor Frankl. That was one of mine on that list. Man searching for meaning. Yep. I need to bring my book list. I got all of my books over there in my. I used to have this. The way this was set up was this was a bookcase behind me, um, but I moved it and set up my wall behind me to just change things up a little bit. But I lost all my books to turn around for reference. So anyway, Viktor Frankl, can't go wrong with that one. Crazy story. Apologize for asking too many questions. No, don't apologize. Your questions are really good. I can't help but notice the FBI HRT picture in the background. Any chance you write a HRT program and ever train guys for selection? I've trained multiple people for selection, and successfully. In fact, that's where I got that from. One of them um, got it for me. I thought it was a nice gift. Um, but yeah, he's still in. Um, you know what? I didn't write anything directly for that. I have a weird, you know, issue with writing things for tier 1 units. So I don't have a CAG one, I don't have a SEAL Team 6 one, I don't have a HRT one, but I've trained multiple people for all of them. I just don't write about it. Um, I will say this though. Um, Whenever they were here doing training with me, these were what we did. Like the spring, summer PT cardio cycle. That was what we did. During the lift cycle, we did increased strength, crush sprint. We also did fall winter lift cycle. Um, so when you see the seasonal tactical fitness periodization section on my website, all of those are what we did as a group to prepare for a variety of jobs. We had guys going Rangers, we had guys going SEALs, we had guys going FBI and HRT, Marines. But what we were able to do as a group was get a bulk of the workouts done together and then specialized in anything um, that selection for that individual was going to show. So, for instance, if it was Ranger or SF, they were doing rucking, they didn't need to be swimming like my SEALs and Air Force PJs were swimming or treading and things like that. For the HRT guys, they have to endure basically kind of like a Bud's Hell Week without a lot of the swimming, but they're always running, they're running uphill, upstairs, carrying gear. So it was always a load bearing activity up hills and stairs and mixing legs and lots of lunges. Oh, did you guys lose me? You guys hear me? No audio. That sucks. What the hell happened? Test, test. Let me know if you can hear me. What the hell? Let me try that Alt F4. Not sure what's going to happen. No, I'm not going to do that. Some guys are hearing me. Video's gone. What the hell? I think you cannot see me anymore. Are you serious? Okay. So, Mike, you are throwing me off there. So I'm assuming you guys heard that. People can hear and see me. Okay, good. Okay. Well, got any more questions besides those folks that are saying they can't hear me? All right. So, Taryn, can you hear and see me? I'm going to read your question. So, I've been having a hard time finding the right way to be the person being carried in fireman carries. Ah, okay. It's always painful. You know what? I won't lie to you, Taryn. Um, uh, so I won't lie to you. Being carried is worse than carrying. So what I do whenever I am being carried is I try to look like a backpack on somebody's um back. So when they get in there, they grab my arm, they put their shoulder right in my crotch. I jump up with them, lift up, and then as soon as I am on their shoulders, I hook my arm under their arm, kind of like a strap of a backpack, and then this hand is free, and I put right into their lower back. So I am pushing hard on their lower back, doing a little lower back support, um, just for safety stuff. And then I bend my knees and kind of scrouch up in a ball. So I am basically looking like a backpack. So whenever I'm teaching people, when we're doing fireman carries, I always say this little saying is like, be a good backpack, be a good backpack. And that's what I mean is bend your knees, support his lower back, use this arm to hook up under his shoulder. You can even grab into his back, and then he can grab onto whatever he needs to grab on to just a little more stability. And yeah, that's how we do it. Yeah, Mike's blocked for screwing up my show. Um, all right, did I miss some questions? I think I did. I missed some questions up here. I hear from many people that keeping your feet healthy is important. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. You just got to take care of your feet. In fact, if you do a Google search, Army foot care, you will see um, there are countless stories and articles um, written about just taking care of your feet. So changing your socks. I personally wore two pair of socks. I wore a very thin pair of socks that would go against my skin that had no cotton in them. So it was like a polyester rayon blend dress sock. Um, no cotton, no fluffiness. Basically felt like a pantyhose on the inside of my against my skin. Then I would wear the normal wool dive sock or whatever. They gave me the green wool sock that they issue you um, in the army, and put that on top of that sock. And I never got a blister going through buds. And my feet were wet, sandy all the time. And back then, we didn't have good boots either. We wore the old Vietnam era jungle boots that were heavy and they sucked compared to the Bates, and even compared to now, the third generation from there, which are the Nike Combat Gen 2, much, much nicer. Um, but that's how I did it. And then at the end of the day, if I had any hot spots or anything, I'd take care of them, put alcohol on them, make sure they didn't get infected. Used a lot of Vaseline to, or alcohol, let them dry out overnight, and then in the morning I'd put some Vaseline on them with a little loose bandage, um, just to let it kind of slide in on itself versus hitting any dry sock or anything like that, and that seemed to help too. But basically, just the thing that you want to avoid is keeping your boots on too long, taking them off, letting your feet air out. And if you have alcohol wipes, clean them. Very important. My wife's stepdad was a Green Beret, so she knows the type of life we're heading into. That's good. That's helpful. Having someone who's been there, done that, absolutely. They know the drill. All right. Although it worked out for you, do you believe people in a relationship during training to be a detriment for most people based on what you've seen with past candidates? You know what? It's like a flip of a coin, to be honest with you. I can say yes and no. I've seen it work out for some, not work out for others, but it was really more um, dependent on the person you are and she was or is. Um, because if you're needy and she's needy, that's horrible. That's not going to be very helpful. Both of you fairly independent, focused on your own business, going to school, working full time, whatever that is, just staying busy. Chances are you don't have time for a lot of each other anyway, and that was helpful for me. My wife was going through school and working full time to pay for it, so she was busy as I was. So if I would have not been across the country at Buds, she wouldn't have had time for me anyway. So seemed to work out. Good question though. You suggested that I should take an EMT course through mail. I don't know about mail. I just try to find one. I can't seem to find anything like that in Denmark other than regular first aid. Well, here in the States is the only reason why I gave that suggestion is there are EMT courses at, firehouses. You might be able to, like some kind of firefighter training. Um, they typically do them here at like community colleges, which are kind of like post high school, first 2 years of college. So I'm not sure how they teach people emergency medicine technician training in Denmark. Obviously, that's something you'll have to figure out. But I was just trying to make a suggestion of something that will be useful for you in training. Other than that, um, take a year college or a year of school and or two or whatever. I don't know how it's set up. So me advising you what to do in Denmark is a lot different than what we can do here in the United States. Um, so I don't know if this is the right forum to have those type of discussions because I really don't have those answers. Doing land nav, that's good. That's something you should be doing. Sounds fine on your end. Cool. Good. All right. Let's see. A couple more questions. Been having a hard time finding the right way to be the person being. Oh, we already talked about this one. Man, I'm all jumbled up here. Lots of comments, though. I appreciate it. Let's see. Do you play any sports? Softball, snow skiing, anything athletic for fun? Um, no, not really. I work out for fun. So I run, I swim, I ruck, I lift, do calisthenics. I swim for fun also. Fish, like to fish. I need to fish more than I do. Haven't been in a while. I watch a lot of baseball games for fun. So, am I doing anything athletic? No. When I was younger, yeah, I did. Played rugby for a little while. Yeah. but I'm also 53. So, you know, I don't like softball. Skiing, yeah, that's fun. A water ski, snow ski when available. Um, Final question. Uh, what tactical sports dietitian would you recommend if you wanted to dial down your diet leading up to selection? Trying to leave no stone unturned. On Instagram, there is someone I follow, and I think she is called the Tactical Dietitian. There she is. Yeah, I had her on one of my podcasts too, actually. And Susan Lopez, registered dietitian, um, also a trainer. I think her husband's a ranger, right? So she has ends with the tactical world. She's also a tactical strength and conditioning facilitator. She's a veteran as well, SOF spouse. But yeah, tactical dot dietitian, Susan Lopez. Check her out and see what you think. Um, I would recommend her first and foremost, because that's what she does. Tacticaldietitian.com. Just noticed she had a website. Yeah, she's good. All right, let's see. All right, folks. Wow, it's already been an hour. It's pretty good. Um, all right. So I tell you what, guys, I'm going to head out. I gotta go. However, thanks for listening. Check out stewsmithfitness.com for latest articles, also programming. If you're looking for anything basics from like calisthenics and cardio to get started, there's also an advanced program in here that people are crushing PSTs with and then moving on to other programs. But this was something we have just done this last spring and moving it into the summer, where it's 3 weeks of training with calisthenics and cardio, running progression, and 1 week of a deload. We're in that deload week right now. Um, but it's just part of a system that I have been using for almost 25 years now, um, with a lot of success, and it's called seasonal tactical fitness periodization. Um, it's just one of those ways to train, not the way to train, that I have found to be very useful if you're trying to get good at everything, meaning strength and power, speed and agility, endurance and muscle stamina, flexibility, mobility, grip. All of those things need to be addressed if you're thinking about going into this any of these tactical professions, or you just want to be a well-rounded athlete and uh, somewhat of an asset in any type of situation that's required. Someone falls in a pool, can you swim across and save them? Can you run away, at a fast speed and long distance if someone's trying to chase you? Can you turn around and beat the crap out of them? Whatever. You Natural disaster too. Can you carry somebody out of a fire, burning building? So there's a lot of reasons why we like to train, and I think the most important one is just so you can be an asset in those type of situations versus a liability. All right. So that's Stu Smith. We're out of here, and I appreciate your time. If I did not get to your question, you can email it to me at stu@stewsmith.com. Don't forget, tomorrow I'll be back with more questions and answers, and we'll do a little CSS critique as well. If you want to send a swimming video of you doing the combat swimmer stroke or an underwater stroke or whatever, happy to critique it for you. But head over to stewsmithfitness.com, check out Compete20 code when you do check out, and you'll save 20%. All right, folks. Until tomorrow, we'll see you later.